Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today is Monday, November 28th, 2022. I am Solid Blue Sister, and this is My Turn to Talk. Hey, Grit, welcome. You are number one. Hey, Frankie, Grit bit you today. Number two. Welcome. Oh, boy. And listening over on any of the other streaming apps, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Twitch, wherever. Welcome. Welcome. Thank you for listening. Uh-oh, Frankie. Now, it's only Monday. Oh, boy. Hey, Minnesota, how are you? I hope you are doing well. Oh, boy. Trying to get this music that I'm going to play at the end ready. Hope everyone had a good family day last Thursday. Hey, Power Girl, welcome. A lovely Tuesday morning there in New Zealand. What's the temperature like there, Grit? Do you all have snow? Because I know your seasons are a bit different from 19 degrees. I don't miss that at all. Oh, I don't miss that. Except around Christmas. 19 degrees. Going into summer now. Okay. All right. Well, guys, today I want to talk about something that may rub some people the wrong way. 14 degrees Celsius. Okay. Got it. All right. So I'm going to talk about something today that's may rub some people the wrong way. And I know that it's rubbed me the wrong way. But it's rubbed me the wrong way in a different way than it may rub some other people the wrong way. For the last 2 years or so, at least here in America, we've heard a lot about CRT, critical race theory. And I've heard, in fact, all I've heard, aside from the fact that a certain group of people don't want it, it's how it's going to affect white children. I don't want my child to do that. I don't want them to feel guilty. I don't want them to feel, I don't want them to feel like they're racist. I mean, all we've heard about is how it's affecting white children. Well, what about everybody else's children? What about the other nationalities that are out there that have been seriously affected by what has gone on in this country? I'll get to the world stage later, but just in this country. So while we're so busy talking about, or while you're so busy talking about how it's going to affect white children, How is keeping let's see. Oh, Sal, I watched a documentary on Netflix called 137 Bullets. So sad. I heard about it. I have not yet watched it. You know, how is that? You know, you're keeping history that has affected our children, our ancestors, mothers, fathers, grandparents, nieces, nephews, aunts, uncles. You know, so you don't want your kids to feel guilty, but our children are not allowed to learn. And then depending upon where they do learn it, it's misconstrued or just blatant lies. So now you have a lot of people who are, you know, coming out and telling the truth. You see all these videos, you know, everywhere where people are digging down deep, and it's making people uncomfortable. You have senators out there who want to take Martin Luther King completely out of the curriculum. Why? So are we just supposed to learn about white people or the good Black people? The Black people that you think are good? Welcome, Brina. So again, I say that this may, if this is a topic that you don't want to hear, I suggest you leave, because it's something that I've been listening to for the last 2.5 years, and I'm sick of it. And Brina, I'm talking about CRT, but I'm also going to talk about a group of people who, sadly, you know, this is where my title comes from: forced to restructure your mind. Has society made you see yourself in a negative light? Has society made you question who you are? And I'm going to refer to an article written by Hillary Tompkins, who is a member of the Navajo Nation. And she served as the solicitor of the U.S. Department of Interior under the Obama administration. She's currently a lawyer. And basically, I mean, she was adopted out at a young age by a white family. And it was under the Indian Adoption Project in the 60s and 70s, where Indian children, or what they were called Native American children, were placed in boarding schools. And they were removed from their tribes without justification and assimilated into mainstream America. She didn't meet her birth family until she was a young adult. Her background, she had no clue. The only thing that she saw on her adoption papers was my mother was attractive, and her grandmother had some education and considered to be an intelligent woman. Her father was listed as Plains, 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 and described as having hair with a slightly tendency to wave. Now, she did not know her connection to the Navajo Nation until she was a student at Dartmouth College. And she has no disregard or ill will toward her adoptive family, but she also did not know her family. And when you go back in history with Native Americans, we'll get to everybody else later. But when you go back in history to Native Americans and just how they were forced, you know, the turn of the century, you know, from the 1800s into the 1900s, you know, whatever. You know, the fact that you had Native American children who were taken from their tribes, forced into these orphanages by these so-called missionaries. Welcome, Crazy Lady, and welcome, Cheddar Man. By these so-called missionaries. And their hair was cut. They were forced to wear bustles and skirts and all this other stuff, told that they dressed like heathens and what have you. And Cheddar Man, Brina, and Crazy Lady, I said at the very beginning before you all came in, this is a topic that may rub some people the wrong way. I'm going to be pushing the envelope. So if you guys don't, if you guys don't want to hear what I'm talking about, then you may want to leave. But I am going to push it. I am going to push it very hard. So you have these Native American children who were forced to assimilate into white America, forced to, study a God that these Christians, these so-called missionaries. And when you look at through history, you look at how many cultures were destroyed, were taken away. But yet you look at CRT, and the only thing we hear about is how it's going to affect white children. I don't want my daughter, my daughter's 6, my daughter's 7, I don't want her feeling guilty. I don't want her to feel that, that she's a racist, that she's this, that she's that. Oh, okay. No one's trying to make anybody feel anyway. But what about the other children? What about the other children whose history you don't want to tell? They're not being able to hear their own history because we're supposed to worry about the feelings of somebody else. What about the feelings of our children, of our, like I said, nieces, nephews, grandkids, whatever? Everybody has history. Everybody comes from somewhere. But society has forced many groups of people, mainly people of color, to restructure their mind, to see themselves in a negative light. You look at the ads and commercials that we had growing up. Now you turn on the TV and, I was telling my husband the other day, I said, you notice how now you see in these commercials, you see a lot of interracial couples on TV. I said, when we were growing up, a TV station would have been shut down for that. Growing up, all we saw were the pictures of beauty was blonde hair, blue eye. If it wasn't blonde hair, blue eye, it was always white. Anything dark, bad. Anything white, good. So I want to know, you have people out there who are questioning who they are. Where do I come from? Who was my grandmother? Who was my grandfather? You have, people who were separated, sold off, never knew who anybody was. You have ancestry.com and, whatever like that. But, there's a lot of history, and a lot of the history that we have. And this is why I say that is important to, before all of the old people die, it's important to hear those stories. It's important to see those pictures. It's important to have that photo album. So, I don't know. I don't know. When I read the story of Hillary Tompkins and how even now as an adult, she does not feel connected, even though she has gone back to her nation, that she's trying to learn some of the language and attending her traditional ceremonies and working for the Navajo Nation Department of Justice. But she says she still can't catch up. She says that she can vote in their elections, but she doesn't understand what their speeches are about because she doesn't understand the language. She can't run for office because she's not a fluent Navajo speaker. She's connected with her birth family, but she's never really felt fully a part of the Navajo society. And you have a lot of Native Americans who are like that. You have thousands who have been separated from their tribes because someone in Washington thought that it was best for these children to be taken from their tribes and given and adopted out by a white family. Placement with white families at the time in 1978 was estimated to be at 90%. That's huge. And now, the Supreme Court, joke, they're holding oral, arguments with the case of Holland versus Holland. I'm sorry, I know I'm pronouncing this wrong. Haal, Holland versus Bracken, to decide whether the Indian Welfare Act is unconstitutional. We're talking 40 years later. Where it's still possible for the government to go and take Native American children if they wanted to from their family, from their tribe, because they thought that these children were not being brought up, better. It's disgusting to me. So then when I hear things about CRT, I'm like, seriously, I'm supposed to be concerned about how this white child feels or may feel when you have thousands and millions of people of color who have been separated from their families, told who knows what, forced to forget their language, their traditions. Can you imagine being taken from your family and and your hair is cut, you're forced to live a certain way, dress a certain way, and told that your way of life, you were a heathen or a savage? So yeah, that's where I am, and this weekend I had the opportunity to speak to someone who was adopted by a white family. They are Latino. I asked them if they wanted to come on the show. They declined. I asked if I could interview them for my new show, I Am My Own Story. They are thinking about it, but they said they caught hell. The family that they were adopted into, she says they were okay, but her quote unquote brothers and sisters always called her names. She knew right away that no one even had to tell her she was adopted. She already knew because she didn't look like the rest of the family. And her school life was horrible. But during that time, she also had an aunt and uncle who tried for all of her young life to get her back. And the courts were like, nope, she's better off where she is. Nope, she's better off where she is now as an adult. First thing she did was she left when she was 18, and they were told her that she was ungrateful. And she went to that aunt and uncle, whatever, where she is enjoying her life. But she wasn't enjoying her life growing up. Every time she asked, about her background, she was told to forget about it. Welcome, Pink Squirrel, welcome. Every time she, wanted to go, to any type of celebration that was, based in Latino history of any kind, they told her no. That's suppression to me. That turns into oppression. So, like I said, I'm pushing it today. I am pushing it. Grid says, okay, it's really sad, Sally. Yes, it is. It is. It is. And I could not imagine being told growing up as a child that I can't learn something. I could never imagine that. Especially growing up in a household where, again, my mom was a teacher. We had books all over the place. All we did was read, and we went to museums, and when we went on vacation, we learned about some of everybody, and constantly, every time, I had one great aunt. She always would talk about her childhood, and we were like, "Oh, here we go again." But as you get older, you appreciate the fact that you did have that great aunt, you did have that grandmother, that uncle, who always talked about this, or that cousin who always, talked about this, and his father did that. You're grateful for it now, and a lot of people don't have that. So I encourage everyone, whomever you are, no matter what color you are, no matter what culture you come from, find out who you are. Find out who you belong to. Find out what your great granddaddy did. What your great 3 times great, 4 times great, however far great back that you can go. Find out who your people are. Because I believe it is true. When you find out where you are, and where you've been, where you're going to go. Because to me, what we're doing with CRT is we're repeating the past. We're taking away culture from other people out of fear, out of hatred, out of whatever. We're repeating the past. We're recreating. Everyone says, "Oh, forget about the past, forget about the past, forget about the past." But we're recreating it. When you go to school, you should learn about everything. Because I'm going to tell you, when your little sweet little sensitive child gets into the real world, they are going to meet gay people. They're going to meet transgender people. They're going to meet people who are in interracial relationships. They're going to meet people of different colors. It's called the real world. When you go to that job, mommy and daddy are not going to be there with you. When you go away to school, or even hell, you go to high school, some elementary schools, you're going to face some stuff, So you can have your child, you can keep your child in a bubble for only so long, but the real world is going to pop out. It always does. You're going to meet people from all different types of backgrounds, people that you're going to like, people you're not going to like, and whether or not you want to believe it or not, your kid is going to experience things and be around people that you may not want them to be around. Just like we experience things and people that our parents didn't want us around. You can teach your child so much, but sooner or later, they are going to go out and they are going to experience things for themselves. And Brendan says, agree, Salad, knowing your history is important. And it is. It is. So I tell you, as an adult, if you guys have stories to pass on down to your children or to your family members, pass them down, whether they're good or they're bad, positive, negative, whatever. Pass them down. Because when you're gone, the stories stop. If you had a story you wanted to tell, the stories stop. And I remember one time, I think I must have been probably around, I want to say I had just turned 40. And I had gone home to visit my parents. And my mother had been, in my opinion, she had been like just nagging me all day. She had been just nagging me all day. And you know, and she said, one day when I'm gone, you're gonna really wish that you had listened. I'm like, yeah. Okay, here I am, 40 years old. Yeah. I didn't say that to her. I said that in my head. So later on, I want to say it was probably about 2 days later, we had gone out and we had visited some other family, and I was around some of their friends, and they were talking about one of their aunts and how her aunt had did this and done that, whatever. And she said her aunt always wanted her to come over because she really wanted to show her some things and share some things with her about the family. And she always put her off because she thought that her aunt was boring, and her aunt passed away before she could go over there. She ended up, when they went over and went through the house, she always regretted that she never went to see what her aunt or went to hear what her aunt wanted to tell her and see what she wanted to show her. And when I listened to that, something snapped in my head where I said, I need to start listening to my mother. Then when she's trying to tell me something about this, and usually it's something about family this, this person did this back when I was a little, your uncle so-and-so, whatever, I need to listen. And I started listening. And when I listen, you start to appreciate. So once again, I say that to say, it bothers me to no end when I hear the crap, and I'm calling it crap. I can use a stronger word, but I won't, regarding CRT. Because this country is made up of so many different people. This country was built, unfortunately, on negative mojo, whatever you want to put it. This country has a sad and violent history, but it also has a good one. And there are a lot of good people. But there are a lot of good people and a lot of good stories that are not going to be told because of wanting to suppress history, a curriculum. We need to know about everybody. And the fact that we don't know about each other, we fear each other. We have a mistrust of each other. We stereotype each other. I don't know. Only Crazy Lady says it's the sharing of culture and whomever we come from. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And Brenda says, what exactly are they trying to get across with CRT? I've heard it, but I don't know much about it. Brenda, CRT is critical race theory, and it's turned into this evil thing, where basically you have an African-American professor who basically wanted, I don't want to say racism taught in school, but she wanted the true history of America taught in school. She didn't want it watered down. When you talked about slavery, she wants to talk about slavery. She wants to talk about, Native Americans. She wants to talk about the true history of America. Welcome, Mysum. I'm sorry, I saw you earlier and did not welcome you. Welcome, welcome, Shy Lady, and welcome, GP Man. So, she wants the true history taught, and unfortunately, That's not happening. Okay, and then Rena says, "Oh yeah, depending upon where you live in America, it depends on what type of history you learn now." But Brina, it should not be that way. You know, whether the history of America and Shy Lady and GP, you guys are just coming in, and as I said before, I'm pushing the envelope to today. I'm talking about things that some people may not want to hear. If you do not want to hear it, you may not want to stay, because I'm pushing it to today. I'm really pushing it. You know, so to me, we need to know that the state that I live in, California, was Mexico. It was stolen. Mexico, California was part of Mexico. It was stolen. You can say, oh, well, there was a war, blah, blah, blah. No, it was stolen. You know, we need to learn that, you know, I'm trying to get out of the habit of saying Thanksgiving, because it was not Thanksgiving where you had the Indians or Native Americans breaking bread with pilgrims. It was not like that. You know, tell the true story. You talk to Native Americans and you talk to those tribes and you hear what really happened. You know, it wasn't you're breaking bread. So I'm trying to get into the habit of, instead of saying Thanksgiving, it's, you know, you want to have a happy family day. But there was nothing thankful, because the Europeans came over, you know, they took from the Native Americans and then they killed them, or they made them slaves. You know, if you know, when you learn about, you know, you want to learn about Spaniards and what have you. Christopher Columbus didn't discover America. He didn't even land in America. Christopher Columbus, even from his own diary, is one of the worst people ever. Read his own diary in his own writing. But he has a whole holiday for him, but people get upset because Obama wanted to put Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill. You know, so you know, the world is made up of so many different people. And for America, I come back to, and I have had some Black people or African Americans push back on me on this whenever I say that Native Americans are the ones that really have been screwed over. Oh, no, slaves. Yes, we were slaves. We were screwed over, most definitely. But the Native Americans, in my opinion, the first Americans, the land that this entire country probably belongs to, if you want to say who should get what, you want to talk about, you know, giving back. In my opinion, the Native Americans are the ones that have been screwed over. So again, I look at CRT and it's like, you know, who are we supposed to learn? I mean, are our kids supposed to just learn about George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson? Okay, we can learn about them, but let's learn about them. If we're gonna learn about them, let's learn about them. Let's learn everything about them. We're gonna learn about Thomas Jefferson. Let's talk about how he raped a 14-year-old girl and had 9 kids with her. And when he died, he freed all of the children, but didn't free her. So we're gonna talk about people. Let's talk. And we're gonna talk about all these people that want that they want people to talk about. Let's talk about them. You know, and that is why I am 100% for it. Do not take down one statue. Leave every statue standing. And while you're talking about that statue, tell the entire story. Crazy lady. Thank you so patiently waiting.
Not a problem. I agree with you. Yeah, because I mean, think about it, people, and they are like through genetics and stuff, they're actually discovering that the Native Americans on this continent are like a whole, you know, separate gene pool from, wait a minute, the rest of Europe. We just pretty much came in and said, yeah, we don't want to get along with you. So, you know, we're just going to take your land, kill off your villages, um, and make, you know, the ones that did survive the genocide of white man, we're going to stick you out in the desert where nothing grows and say, hey, yeah, here you go. You know, I'm totally agree with you, you know, and, you know, no country doesn't have any blood on their hands. You know, if you think about it, you know, we got to learn from our history. And, you know, the world is such a really cool place. And I was lucky that my dad gave that to me because I don't think a lot of Americans, you know, never even like leave their state. And it's like, it's a big world out there. And every culture I find fascinating personally, you know, is that, you know, they know how to do something I don't know how to do, you know? So that's the way I look at it all. And
But
yeah, and if you can learn history, you know, learn the good, bad, and the ugly right along with it. No one's perfect.
okay. Do you see any do you see any fault into anything that I was saying? Do you want to push back on me at all?
No, unfortunately, I agree with you. Well, it's not unfortunate that I agree with you, but nah, you pretty much said what I say. Think, uh, you know, we need to learn, you know, what our forefathers, you know, the ones that, you know, actually did own slaves and stuff like that. You know, it it's quite fascinating if you start really like looking at history. You know, all of it is.
I want to get back to that, but I'm gonna go to Shy Lady first. Shy Lady, thank you also for waiting patiently.
Everyone. I apologize if my voice is not clear. I am driving and I'm going in and out, so I'm hearing little bits and pieces. But I just want to say it's a good topic, and I believe that all of the history should be told. It shouldn't be sugar coated, and it's unfortunate that some people have taken the whole CRT thing in a negative light, thinking that it paints one group in a bad way, but I don't look at it like that, but I look at it as just the truth being told for everyone. And I think that all of history, if you're going to teach history, you need to teach everything that happened in that particular part of history. You shouldn't leave out um, the bad, even if there is a lot of bad things about it. But it all should be taught. Now, I do want to say this: when I when I was a kid, we learned about the pilgrims, and we did all those little cool little craft things for Thanksgiving. But it wasn't until my daughter was I don't know if she was in elementary school or middle school, is when I learned about the pilgrims giving the Native Americans the blankets purposely with smallpox. And she's the one who came home and told me that. And I was appalled because I didn't learn that in school. And that was well over 50 years ago. I did not learn that. And I was so shocked that that was actually done on purpose. And she just shedded a lot of things on light. And this is in Texas. That was actually taught here in Texas, that the whole situation with the smallpox. And like I said, I don't know what else is being taught in other states, but just knowing that, me as a grown adult in my 40s at the time, and I was like, wow, okay, I didn't know that. That's awful, but it's good to know that these people, these Native Americans, thought that they were being received with love, and they were actually going through a genocide and didn't know it. And that's just an awful thing. But that's just what I wanted to make a comment about.
Okay, all right. And if you ever um really learn about Native Americans, I mean, I remember going on vacation when I was younger, and one particular time we were going through, was it you? No, it wasn't Utah. It was where they have the presidents. Uh, I can't remember that state. The state with
South Dakota,
South Dakota. Yes, we were going through South Dakota, and we
the
were
Sioux
looking at
Nation.
this, and there was this Native American village, and we went there and we were listening to them, and they were upset that it had become this tourist thing. And even back then, I remember when I'm 7, 8 years old, that they're talking about land being stolen and things like that. And again, my mother being the teacher, she was like, you guys need to listen to this. This is important, blah, 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 blah. And, it made me want to learn more about Native Americans because, they have just, I'm sorry. They have just been screwed over so much, but we live in a society where, and I am going to say this, I'm going to piss some people off. I'm sorry if I do, where you have one group of people who take. And, I mean, even things like, on TikTok, you had a young African American woman whose account was banned. She got it back because she was talking about this white girl who used the word finna. And it's funny, but it's kind of disgusting at the same time. Because even when I look at terms, yes, I have on my stay woke hat right now. Y'all go over to YouTube or somewhere else. Y'all can see me, what I have on, whatever. But you have something like woke, which was just meant to basically say be aware, has turned into this whole negative thing, and it's not. But yet these same people will take terms like my bad, I'm down, any other, term that is used that came from African Americans, they'll use it. But why are you not using, for sure, or groovy? I mean, I'm not trying to be funny. I'm being totally serious. So on one hand, you take our terms and it's a negative, but then on the other hand, you take our terms and it's cool. So can you explain that to me? Because I see it as hypocrisy. So, crazy lady?
I was sitting here as you're saying this, right, and I'm laughing to myself. And my dad, and when he said I didn't understand, but now I totally get what he was saying. Is he raised us to be free thinkers? Okay, and yeah, I'm a free thinker. I use all of them. It's like, okay, like punk in the United States. If you call someone a punk, yeah, that means like pretty much calling them, I get, like a low life, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when me and my brother moved back stateside permanently, we were punks, straight up. And we say that with pride, because it's like doesn't mean the same thing. And the first night, like, I got in trouble. The guy called him a punk, and Anthony was like, "Yeah, you're darn right, I'm a punk. I'm London Underground, boy." Totally not getting that, he's pretty much calling him a girl, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where culture comes in, you know. The Native Americans, actually, for as a culture, they adopt people into their tribe, right? And they treat them with with love and respect, and their whole like religion, being is only taking what you need from the land, giving thanks, and yeah, in the Black Hills where our presidents are on the hill, that is sacred land to them. So they pretty much, white man just pretty much like moved in and right in the middle of church sermon, pretty much like, kicked open the doors or just, being very disrespectful to their church, and I totally get it. I'd be the same way. I'd be like, sometimes, people's got to like rethink of the way they're looking at things. You always need to stop and look at the other side,
But when you look at the other side, a lot of people don't like to see what's on the other side. I mean, I can say that myself. I mean, I've looked at the other side, of what people have told me and, what I've seen. Like I would say, I don't understand why, why are you doing this? And, this and, whatever, it's, and then they say, well, you don't know. You grew up like this, so you don't know. And
well, tell me.
I have to take a step back, and I do have to look at the other side and realize they're absolutely right. I don't know what you're talking about. I did not do that. I did not do that, or I did do this, and and whatever. So we all need to step back and look at the other side. And a lot of times when you look at the other side, you don't like what you see, so you try to sugarcoat it or just don't talk about it, and it will go away. I mean, hell, how many people and changing the subject a little bit, but how many people who are in debt don't open up their mail because they know that it's a bill. So in their head, you're like, well, if I don't open up the mail, I don't see that bill, then it's not there. It's still there. We're just choosing not to see it. So let me read some of these comments. Let's see. Thank you, Minnesota, for the gift. I got to go back. Okay, Britta says, I do think a lot of these statues need more context. Yes, they do. They absolutely do. GP says most Americans don't ever get a passport. Thank you, people, for liking the show. Woke, okay. Even the fist bump. Michelle and Barack, I know. I mean, it's like they do a fist bump, all of a sudden that was, oh my God, they're doing a fist bump. But now how many, but they all doing fist bumps. I mean, seriously. Charlotte says woke is now used heavily in politics. Minnesota says to Shy Lady, woke is used as a negative, but we need to keep it a positive. I most definitely keep it a positive. I'd say stay woke whenever I possibly can. So, Power Girl
Continue to wake
says,
up.
I wish I weren't at work. I listen to your show incognito. Power Girl, where are you? Are you like in a corner? Oh, but thank you for listening. I appreciate it. Frankie's laughing at Power Girl. Shy Lady, it's sad but laughable how the word woke is used in every article on story. And I know. I know. GP says in Hawaii, everyone says aloha or mahalo, regardless of where you are from. Okay. But GP, I understand that, but I think what I'm talking about is a little bit more, you got it a little deeper than that. I'm not talking about just a greeting. I'm talking about when you appropriate, just entire, dress. The way people dress. I had someone tell me about 8 years ago when I said that white boys are wearing their pants hanging off their behinds. Oh, they aren't doing that. They aren't wearing those baggy pants. No, they're not. No, they're not. I'm like, yeah, they are. Oh no, where? I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. Okay, so just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean that it's not happening. But all you gotta do is turn on TV and see some of these groups, these groups, whatever. Where did they get that from? Me personally, I think you should pull your pants up. If your pants are falling down, put on a belt or buy a smaller, pair of pants. But again, you look at the way you dress, the hair, the Kardashians, put braids in their hair, all of a sudden, oh look, braids. No, no, braids go way, 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 way. Braids were in Africa. Braids were in, during slave times. Braids, women wore braids in their hair as a way to tell people how to, part of the Underground Railroad as codes. Hell, Cicely Tyson was wearing braids. You have women who have, shaved their hair. Black women who have shaved their hair. Black women been wearing their hair bald for the longest. Now all of a sudden, oh look, this Kardashian is doing this or this person's doing that. No, and then wigs. We've been wearing wigs for I don't know how long. All of a sudden, y'all invented wigs. I mean, I'm just saying that I just think all of this is just the epitome of hypocrisy. And then turn around and say, well, I don't want my kid learning this, and this. Well, why? Let's look at history. And again, I don't mean just Black history, Latino history. I'm talking, we need to learn Irish, Latino, Black, Asian, anything that's Nordic. In this country, Nordic. I mean, this country is made up of so many Dutch. Is made up of so many different people that we need to learn about everything. We need to learn about everything. So not just one particular thing. So people who complain about CRT, it's like, get a freaking life. I don't want to hear that your child is going to feel bad, or I don't want my child to feel like this. What about the other children who want to and need to learn about their history? It's not just about you and your kid. So, crazy lady.
Oh no, I was sitting here thinking, because the Irish, they've been pretty much crapped on, but if you look, yeah, we need to learn our history because it's important, and I was just thinking, I was thinking about the braids in hair because I recently got my hair braided, and I'm like, you know what, I love it. I totally get it why you guys do that, because you don't have to brush it every single freaking minute. And I found out that Nordic, the Vikings and stuff, they put braids in their hair because it was easier to manage, out in the middle of the ocean, and stuff. And they,
But crazy lady, it's not just when we wear braids. It's not just about maintaining a hairstyle. It's also talking about a culture. It's also talking about us.
Yeah, and it's like I said, I love culture. To me, if there's not a culture alive that doesn't fascinate me. Why? Because it's different, and they're all beautiful. We as a human race, we are beautiful. We just need to stop, I don't know, hating on each other stupidly, because that's just being, I don't know. I don't get it. You know what I mean?
No,
I personally, I don't get it. I was like, how can you just be, that dumb?
Well, you know what? No, and again, I just think it's sad that we need to learn about everything and everybody. Shali says lip injections are the new fad. Don't get me started on the lip injections. and Shali says, right, not just the UK, should be studies in the US. Let's see. Grit says, solid for me. Growing up in South Africa, I saw a lot of discrimination towards people of color. We were always taught by our parents that we were equal to everyone. I was raised by a lady of color called Martha. We loved her like a second mom. Okay. Blame U.S. media and entertainment. No, I'm not blaming U.S. media and entertainment. This is something that is ingrained in the DNA of this country. This is ingrained in the DNA.
And for being as a young country as we are, we should not be this way.
No, we shouldn't. And we are a very young country. And then now I'm going to jump over for the couple of minutes I have left. I'm going to jump over to other countries, because when you look at the UK and how the colonization that they did of India, and I laugh at, this whole thing. Oh, the queen, but the stuff that she did, so every country has its faults. Even Africa, even Africans
Mm-hmm.
who own slaves. Other Africans own other Africans. You know, you know, they were doing bad things too. They were making wars on the country. They're still warring now. Whatever. Every country has something bad, but you have to the history of the country. Every country has something good too, and we need to welcome back my son. We still need to be able to look at everything and to appreciate each other's cultures, each other's way of life. Stop stereotyping. Stop believing the hype because a lot of it is wrong. You know, you know, there's a lot of ignorance out there, but there's a lot of people who have a lot of positive things to say. So, Shy Lady, I'm gonna pop over to you because I know you're in your car. Did you want to say anything else?
No, I did a lot of typing because I'm in the grocery store now. So probably what I want to say shouldn't be heard.
Okay, all right. And let's see, Shy Lady says in biblical days the Hebrews were slaves of the Egyptians. I mean, yeah, I mean, everybody has something. Chalet says, "Grit, that's great. Your family taught you that the apartheid system was beyond awful. Blacks living in shanty towns in shanty towns in tin homes were robbed of their land and resources, similar to Native Americans in America and Canada." So yeah, I mean, I know this was. I pushed it today, and I said that I was, but this whole thing with CRT, it rubs me the wrong way because we're so busy focused on how one group of people feel that you need to look at how the other group of people feel and what they're not learning, and what's being kept from them, books, being banned, which now to me we're turning into Nazi Germany. Pretty soon we're going to be burning books. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. But yet these same people want to wave a flag and say, "Oh, look, America, America." It just doesn't make any sense to me. It's like hypocrisy on top of hypocrisy on top of hypocrisy. And Charlotte with the lip injections, don't even go there with me because on one hand they want to laugh at us and say we have big lips, but then turn around and they want to get lip injections. I mean, I don't get it. I don't get it. I mean, I do get it, but I'm just saying that the hypocrisy is just all over the place, just all over the place. There's no way you can justify anything, and I'm talking about if you are suppressing anyone or oppressing anyone. I don't care if you're black, white, blue, green, Latino, Nigerian, African American, Asian, Japanese, Chinese, whatever. If you're oppressing or suppressing people, it's wrong. Period. It's just wrong. So, Shiley is shopping. So, Crazy Lady, you want to take us out with the last word?
I concur. And yeah, I'm totally, I agree with everything else. I'm just here making smart ass remarks to myself, going, yep, that you're right.
So and guys, again, I didn't mean to get on my soapbox. Well, yeah, I did, but these are just things that people try to sweep under the rug and whatever, and you can't. There's just no way that you can. We live in a society where, I mean, it's a total mess. You can blame, well, this party is doing this and this party is doing this and this person is doing this person is doing this. Again, we are repeating history. We are repeating history. Brina, Americans are weird, but humans. Let's talk about the human race. So on that note, Carlos, I'm about to end the show. Thank you for coming. I am about to end the show. But
Your motto should be just like it the Special Forces motto is de oppresso liberare, which is to free the oppressed.
To free the oppressed. Okay. All right. Brina says, good show. Thank you. Power Girl says, good show. Take care, everyone. Okay, y'all. I'm at exactly 1 hour, 1 hour and 23 seconds. So I am going to leave y'all
Good job.
with something a little light. Let's see. Where is the show? Let's see. I'm going to leave y'all with some different music today. This is called Cramp, not Camp, Cramp. CRAMP, Cramp Blues. And on that note, you guys, I hope to see you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day. Hope I didn't get you all down too much, and go where the wind takes you. Crazy Lady and Shy Lady, thank you so much for popping on. Everyone, thank you for joining. Bye. Crazy Lady. All right, everyone, and that's it. I hope you enjoyed that little tune. I enjoyed it when I heard it, and I hope to see you guys tomorrow. Have a good day, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.